I play casually, so I've been playing since I was 6, but casually, so.
How old are you now?
21. So.
This is Chestnut episode 78 for April 7th, 2011. How are you doing today, George?
Yes, I'm just fine. Today we have our model, Christy, and my guest, Dan.
Thank you.
Dan has the white pieces today. And we'll start off. Go ahead, Dan. I just met Dan yesterday, so I'm going to teach him along the way. So he's played pawn to e4. I'm going to respond with the Sicilian defense pawn to c5. Dan has played knight to c3, and I will respond knight to c6. Oh, you got to make the moves on the board, sorry. I'll put the pawn in front of the king, up 2 squares. No, the pawn, yeah, that one goes there. And the pawn in front of the e.
Right here.
Yeah, that goes up 2. Just two. And then another one. One more
Right
square.
here.
Yeah,
Right here.
e4. All right, and then the knight goes on b1, goes to c3. Yep. And then black knight up there goes to c6. And now it's Dan's turn.
I was hoping you guys would forget because you went so fast.
Yeah, I didn't.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. So Dan, you've been playing for how long? Since you were 6?
Since I was 6, but only casually, so by no means at the caliber that George is.
Yeah, I started when I was 12. 1981 Connecticut State Champion, and I got my USCF Masters title in 1983. Yeah. Okay, so I'm kind of wing gambit. So we played pawn to b4. And Christy, there's a pawn on b2.
Right here.
Move that to b4. Okay. So I'm going to take that with my pawn on c5. C takes b4.
And I'm going to try to open you up a little
played
bit.
knight to d5. Knight on c3 to d5.
So right here to right here.
Yep. Now I'm going to kick that knight away. It's on d5. It's hitting the b5 square, but I'm going to play pawn to e6. Pawn on e7 to e6, Christy. e7, and move that up 1. 1 square forward. Yep. Very good.
And
now, I know a few of you out there are probably grumbling, oh my God, what kind of show is this? Well, if you want, I'm offering right now that you could take my place as hosts. So if you think you can do a better job, you can come on over. I have a condition since I was 14 called interstitial cystitis, and it's been very painful in the last 4 months, and it's preventing me from playing well, being animated. So if I can find somebody to take over my position, I would appreciate it. Okay, Dan, I don't think you want to go queen e2 because I'll just capture your knight with the pawn.
I was looking forward to that, and I was
So
going to capture your pawn and open you up
All
to
right,
check.
so go ahead, play queen to e2. You can play queen to e2. Queen on d1, the next one over, the other queen. The queen on d1, d1.
Right here, yeah.
Goes to e2.
Right here, right here.
Okay.
So
I'm going to play e takes d5. So I'm going to take that knight with the pawn on e6.
E6
Captures d5. The knight, not the pawn. Yep, correct?
now, I know this is really unorthodox. In fact, I can't remember ever doing this myself before, but what I'm going to try to do is open him up to check.
Okay, discover check.
And hoping that he defends with the bishop.
e4 takes d5.
I'm hoping that he defends with the bishop, but if he defends with the queen, that's all right too, because I have my knight defending my queen as well, and I don't think he's going to want to trade queens this early in the game.
Oh, up, gonna. I think I might gain some time by actually retreating. So I'm going to try knight c6 to e7.
I was also hoping, and I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to say anything earlier,
right piece,
but
and then
if he had defended with either the queen or the bishop, like I said, I don't think he was going to take the queen, and I was going to take his knight, level the playing field a little bit, a knight for a knight, and we're both closed up pretty good too, so I wouldn't be sacrificing much ground. I think what I'm going to do is push forward again with the pawn.
So my knight is pinned because the queen is on the same file as my king. Okay. So I would develop my other knight to. Oh, you got to put the pawn on. Where'd you get that? Where did that pawn come from? All right, okay, yeah. Move it all the way to d6, the next one up.
Right
Correct,
there.
you got it. All right, so I'm going to take the other knight on g8 and put it on f6. See? f6, you got it. Correct.
I'm going to open up my my second rank a little bit more. I'll just start by moving a pawn forward.
To d4, okay. Okay, you got it? Yeah, correct, right? Pawn to g6. I'm going to try to develop my bishop to the g7 square.
Now, again, that opening was pretty unorthodox and probably pretty unwise in retrospect, because the best side for me to castle, at least I think at this point, would be behind this barricade of pawns. Unfortunately, a lot of this E pressure comes from my queen, and I need to get that bishop out, and I need to get that knight out before I can castle. So it's going to require a little bit of dancing around some of his power pieces that'll probably start coming out here in the next couple of moves. All right.
Bishop to b2. Bishop on c1 goes to b2. Correct? No, on the green one square. On b. The green square?
Up here.
Oh,
Yeah. Now what I'm hoping this does is this pawn's threatening a lot right here, and my pawn on c2 is going to be gone here in a second, which is going to open up these two files for my rook. We're hoping to get this rook into play and maybe even replace the queen later on.
So I'm just going to bring my bishop out, bishop to g7. Bishop on f8 to g7. Just move that one square diagonally.
Thank
You're all set. Yep.
So we're going to try to activate the phone calls. We're taking calls in New York, 212-757-1393. We're looking at the overhead shot here. Not really sure what to make of the two pawns pushed up there on the center of the board.
Well, he's going to have to recapture his piece sooner or later. So let's see when. Yeah, it looks good. Yeah.
But they're two different colors. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, I'm going to open this up a little bit.
So Dan played pawn to c3, pawn on c2, the white one,
Oh,
yellow one, c3. Correct, you got it. So I'm going to capture that pawn. B takes c3.
And I'm going to respond with my bishop.
Pawn on b4, capture c3. See, the black one takes the yellow one, diagonal. And then he recaptured it immediately with the bishop on sitting right there, diagonally.
Just put that bishop right here.
Yeah. No, that
No.
one on d4 stays yellow. The pawn on d4 stays yellow.
the black guy.
Yeah, get rid of that black pawn. Put that bishop here.
Bishop on b2.
Bishop right here. Put it right there.
Yeah, you got it. Good. So now I'm going to take my knight on f6 and put it on d5 to attack that bishop at c3. f6 to d5. D.
Oh.
There you go. You got it.
No coughing allowed. It breaks up the silence a little bit. You know? Somebody's got to cough and laugh and mess up. It's too serious.
Now, what I did was a good example of overzealous opening up. See, you may look at George's side and notice that he's very closed up, but he has more of his power pieces in play than you might actually notice. He has his knights, and he's really good at knight work. He has his bishop out. His king is ready to castle. Now, I'm more open than he is, but half of my power pieces are trapped behind that barricade that I made for myself. So definitely, it's going to take some work to open it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture his knight.
And e7. So the pawn on d6 captures that. Pawn on d6? No, the other one? Okay, now just take out that black knight on e7. No, e7. The square up more. There you go. That's the one. You got it. So I'm going to take back with my queen and capture that pawn on e7. So take black on d8 takes e7.
probably the best option for me at this point is to back off. So I'm going to move the bishop.
I'll take that one though. You still want to do it?
Go ahead.
Okay, bishop to d2. Bishop on c3, that bishop right there. And then just pull it back, correct, right there. So I would play bishop captures d4. My bishop on g7 in that cubby hole over there. Just bring it right out to where it hits that white pawn and take that white pawn away.
What number?
On d4. Okay.
Now my rook's in jeopardy. I'm going to move it to the d file.
Okay, so he played rook on a1 to d1. Correct, you got it. So I'm going to castle king side. So take the king on e8 and move it over 2 squares sideways to g8 and take that rook on the other side of it and put it on the other side. Okay. Yeah, good.
I'm going to push his bishop back a little bit.
So he's played knight on g1 to f3.
But George and Dan, what do you make of all those white pieces kind of packed together there?
Well, he's finally started to get them out, so
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
What happens? Black is a pawn ahead. Well, 2 pawns ahead, actually, so he's doing quite well. So I'm going to trade queens at this point. I go queen takes e2 check.
Okay.
So take the black queen on e7. Take that guy out. And he's recaptured with the bishop on f1.
Okay.
Yep, take out the black queen on e2. That's correct, yeah. Just take that one out. And now my goal is to probably try to trade as many pieces as I can. So I'm going to take my bishop on d4 and put it on c3 to try to trade the bishops. Correct. Yeah.
I'm going to allow that. I'm going to castle.
So he castled king side. Oh, no, the king over 2, king on e1. Oh, slide it over 2 squares to g1, the other way. And then we'll put that rook on h1 on the other side of it.
Rook.
Yeah.
There you go.
Which one to where?
F1. Yep, you got it.
Okay.
If at this point he still wants to trade, fair enough.
Okay, I'll trade it. Bishop takes d2. Bishop on c3 captures the bishop on d2. The other bishop. And let's take the one on d2 out. Correct?
I'm going to capture the bishop on d2 with my rook on d1.
Which also attacks my knight at d5.
D2. Take
Yep.
out D2.
Yep, you got it.
And then
Now he's attacking my knight at d5, so I have to do something about that.
you take a knight.
But I have to move the knight away, Christy, so I'm going to move it so he doesn't take it.
Oh.
Put that one on d1, yep. Back there. And take that knight that's on d6 and just move it up to d5. Just 1 square forward. Yeah, that's where it belongs. So I'm going to take my knight on d5 and put it to f4, and then try to trade off the bishop on e2. The knight, you had it. And then go back diagonally to f5. Next one over. So you got it.
I'm going to postpone the loss of that bishop for a little while.
And you put the bishop on e2 to c4.
Christy, can you hear us okay? Because we might try to take a phone call.
Sure.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm going to jettison the d7 pawn and sacrifice it and put it to d5, pawn to d5.
Good job.
I'm actually going to sacrifice the rook.
Say something, say it loud.
Rook takes d5, which is an exchange sacrifice, because when I take it, he played rook takes pawn.
Where is he?
Rook on d1
Okay.
takes the pawn at d5. I would have taken bishop takes pawn. Because then when I take knight takes d5, the knight was supposed to be on f4. You have it on f5.
Oh.
See the black knight?
Okay.
Yeah, it was supposed to be on f4, so now you move to d5. And take the rook off. Next one over. Yeah, land on that guy. Take that off, and put the black guy in there. The black knight goes on d5, and the white rook comes off.
This comes out.
Yeah, the one comes off.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture his knight with my bishop.
So now the black knight gets captured, and the
He
bishop
moves
goes
up.
in that square. So I'm going to attack the bishop by playing my rook over to d8 and try to control the d file. No, the rook. See, the rook on f8 goes to d8. Okay, you got it.
I'm going to retreat.
So Dan played bishop to c4. Had he played rook to d1, that wouldn't have been any good, because the bishop would then be pinned against the rook that would be on d1. So bishop c4 was probably the best move in the position. So I will come bishop to f5. So bishop on c8. Push it down. Yeah. Correct. You got it.
So we're actually in our last minute here, unfortunately. Say something nice.
Okay, well, I'll try to expedite things a little bit.
Okay, he's going to go knight to e5, and he's going to threaten to take my pawn at f7. So put the knight on f3 to e5.
Okay. Thank you everyone for watching.
Yes, I'll come back. Bishop on f5 to e6.
Okay.
Yep, just one square back. Correct?
Flip over. And if you're interested in hosting the show, give them a call.
Yes.